I'm Darwutey from Department of Forensic Science, University of Development Studies. And today I want to educate you guys on forensic psychology. So let's dive into it. Forensic psychology is the intersection of psychology and law enforcement. So it is when we try to apply psychology in legal procedures. In other words, we can also say it is the application of psychological principles to legal and criminal justice system. So, what are some of the purpose and goals of forensic psychology? One of the purposes is to understand human behavior in legal context or in the scenario of when you are dealing with law issues. Another one too is it assists legal system with assessment and testimonies and also interventions. So these are some of the basic goals and purpose of forensic. Now let's talk about the history of forensic psychology. Now, one of the early pioneers of forensic psychology is Hugo Mansterberg. Now he is regarded as the father of forensic psychology. Developed forensic psychology from the early 1900s with juvenile delinquency studies. So, key court cases which allowed forensic psychological testimony is the Jenkins case versus US. So, the Nico Jenkins case which happened in US, forensic psychology was actually employed in that case. Hugo Manstenberg provided eyewitness testimony is subject to inaccuracy and not always unbiased. So that's why he also brought in forensic. He also tried to work towards forensic psychology. Now, what are some of the rules of a forensic psychologist? So, a forensic psychologist to assess offenders and victims who provide expert testimony in court. He will also evaluate competency, risk, and criminal responsibilities, and he will design correctional programs. So, with all this being said, let's move on to the next slide. So, areas of practice under forensic psychology include law issues such as criminal behavior, the mens rea. So, when you talk of mens rea, you're talking about the mind behind the crime, the intent, and also the competency of the criminal, okay, or the competency of such a crime. So over here we'll study the crime so that we'll be able to make future predictions and trends so that in case such a crime is to happen again, we'll be able to state why. And in that case, we'll be able to know who is capable of doing that crime. Also, in civil cases involving child custody and personal injury issues, and also civil commitment, we can employ forensic psychology practice. So some methods and procedures under forensic psychology include psychological assessment and testing. So such as personality tests, we are going to actually make tests. We are going to hand out tests to people like those who are involved in a case so that we're able to build a profile on them. Also, research on eyewitness testimony, deception detection, jury decision making. So, we will not just listen to the eyewitness testimony, but we would also judge it. We would also try to understand where such an issue is coming from. So, why the eyewitness testimony is that way. We are trying to check whether there is no bias in the eyewitness testimony. And also ethical considerations, balancing psychology and law. So these are some of the methods and procedures employed in forensic psychology. Now, let's go to challenges and ethical issues. Now, every field has its own challenges and ethical issues. Now, when you bridge two fields together, you know the challenges will be more. But let's just talk about a few of the challenges over here. So, when we bridge forensic science and psychology together, what are some challenges? What are some things you have to look out for that overlap? So, number one is the conflict between psychological ethics and legal demands. In most cases,